So hello, everyone. Thank you for joining in on time. As Oprah said, and Rouble Nagi, our esteemed author, our guest of today, she's a social worker, artist, founder, Rouble Nagi Art Foundation, and Misaal India. She's quoted in her book what Oprah said, that know what sparks the light in you, then use that light to illuminate the world. This is so very apt for Rouble and Misaal India. So very our heartiest welcome to you, Rouble, on our 107th episode. And it's such a delight to have you with us today.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I'm very happy to be here joining both of you and talking about parts of my book, which released this year.
Thank you so much. And I must tell everyone, we are going to talk about the Slum Queen. This has been published by Garuda Prakashan, and it's a wonderful book. Just simply 240 pages. Yes, I have the book as well. We have a wonderful moment, both the books here. And very easy read and delightful read for all the budding social change makers for India. And you'll be delighted to read this. And whosoever is in the social field and otherwise too, it's really an inspiration to read Ruble's story and the book itself. So Misaal India, I'll delve into the conversation straight away, Rouble, because we have limited time today. Misaal India is the first art slum transformation initiative in India. So we would really begin by asking you about Misaal India. And also, how did you decide to document the story of Misaal India, and of course, the story behind the story and the story of the process of writing this book? If you could just tell us all about it.
So basically, in 2016, we launched an initiative of Rouble Nagi Art Foundation named Paint Dharavi. In that, we focused more of beautification of slums through art. Like, every initiative that we take, whether it is Learn to Earn, Read India, Mahila Saksham Yojana, Rona, Crayon, every initiative of our foundation is focused on creativity, and the initiative begins with the creativity. So art के माध्यम से लोगों से जुड़ना, art के माध्यम से लोगों तक पहुंचना, उनकी सोच बदलना is the main aim of every initiative of ours. So 2016 Paint Dharavi happened, and 2018 when I visited Jafar Baba Basti in Bandra West is when we launched Misaal Mumbai in January. So basically, after you work in a certain initiative for 2 years, I realized that beautification is one part of it. We always focus more on education for children, empowerment for women through skilling. But there is much more that people living in the slums, people living in the bastis, in villages need. So when we started Misaal Mumbai, it was actually that holistic approach that we wanted to take. So Misaal Mumbai was not about just coloring the walls. It was not about just taking the buckets of color and going in coloring homes just to look beautiful from outside. So Misaal Mumbai was actually an initiative which started with transformation through art. Like I said, we always start with art and creativity, but the main aim of Misaal Mumbai was not to color the walls. केवल दीवारों को रंगना हमारा aim नहीं था. हमारा main aim था to take 100% kids of that slum to school, to talk about hygiene, sanitation, waste management, toilet use, less use of plastic, and how our housewives, how women in bastis can earn livelihood by stepping out and working from their homes itself. So सही मायने में आत्मनिर्भरता अपनी औरतों के लिए लाना, हमारी महिलाओं के लिए लाना was also part of Misaal Mumbai. So that was our main aim. And art has always been a great connect of ours with people. Art एक ऐसा माध्यम है जो लोगों से आपको बहुत fast जोड़ देता है. Instead of me going home to home and telling people that we want to talk about education and empowering your women, we start with beautification. In fact, I've even written in my book that when we started initially with the first Basti in Bandra West with Misaal Mumbai initiative, after 3 to 4 days, I had almost 200 people standing behind me trying to, understand. Pura slum aa gaya tha, puri basti ke log aa gaye the ki ma'am kya kar rahi hain. So it saved me time and a lot of effort to go home to home. Instead of that, when you start with creativity, when you start with colors, everyone comes forward out of curiosity to know what is going on here. And that is how Misaal from one went to another, and today it's Misaal India, because within a year we went to many different states of our country, not just slums and bastis. We went into multiple villages across India where we replicated this project by just starting a little bit of beautification and then going home to home. And every slum we went to, every basti we went to, we made our ambassadors of change, जो लोग वहां रहते हैं स्लम में, उनको हमने जिम्मेदारी दे दी कि आपकी ये लेन है, ये आपको साफ रखनी है, because you're the ambassador of change, you are the star of this lane. So people took responsibility, because आप एक बार साफ करोगे, आप एक बार कलर करोगे, आप चले जाओगे. But then what happens next? Because if the change in the mind has not happened of people who are living there, it is forever going to be dirty. It is never going to change. So Misaal Mumbai was that one initiative where we just didn't do things. We connected with community. We connected with people living in the slums and villages to join us, be a team of Misaal and be that change maker themselves. And that's why I think it was so beautifully accepted by people. So this is how the Misaal journey started.
I know, and also a little bit about your book, if you could just mention, I mean, how did the process of writing and documenting the entire story, the process where you began, and then you ended up in Misaal India, and you've never looked back. You have so many initiatives. Recently, you've also launched the Saksham initiative, which is such a noble thing. So I would like to know, how did you kind of think about the book, and how did it really happen that you could finally write a 240-pager, which is engrossing, which is so enlightening to read your story. So if you could talk about it.
Well, I can't say I'm a writer, but I have a habit from my childhood to pen down things that I do in life. Even when I was in school, I would, something that happened that day, whether good or bad, I would come back home and I would put it down. So ये मेरी बचपन से एक आदत रही है, लिख देना. And when COVID hit worldwide, hit India, and we went into lockdown, well, being the frontline worker, we were on ground working, but we did get that 1 week to be at home, jahan pe kisi ko bhi allowed nahi tha other than the government people. Nobody was allowed to step out. And that is the time, I was sitting with my husband and I was talking, and he said, you know what, it's time now that after 20 years, I'm seeing my wife at home for 7 days in a row. So you have written so many of these things, your experiences, your life, why don't you put them together? So I said, too early. It's too early to write something about myself. He said, no, write about Misaal because you're so passionate about it. And like I said, that, from my childhood, I would pen down all different experiences of my life from a very early age. And then obviously it kind of grew into writing more. When I traveled, I wrote. When I was at work, I wrote. Sitting in slums, teaching, I wrote. I came back home and, just pen down some papers. So during the COVID first lockdown, which being the frontline worker, we were working, but we all were at home for those 7 days. And that is the time, actually, my husband's idea that he said, why don't you think about putting these things together? So I said, that's so much to put together. He said, no, you can pick some stuff which is now connected to Misaal India initiative. And that got me thinking. And that's when I kind of, started putting things together, wrote a lot of new things because Badalta Kashmir happened in my life. Now, it didn't happen in my early days. And I've also written about COVID, the last chapter. So that we wrote about that after I kind of, we kind of finished the second lockdown also. So the COVID chapter happened then. So I guess Slum Queen came out of those lockdown days that we were at home. And I'm glad because, कितनी बार आप सोचते रहते हैं कि आप इसको करना है, आपको इसको करना है. It was in back of my mind, it was always there. But you don't get time to sit down and, put things together. So blessing in disguise, I can say that during COVID lockdown is where Slum Queen was born.
So very wonderful for us because we could read and get inspired and really get hooked to the story of Misaal India and the story behind such a wonderful and kind initiative by you. As you say that Misaal India is an initiative to transform villages and slums by promoting beautification, cleanliness, education, employment, women empowerment. And you also say that art is a medium which breaks barriers. But I'm sure you would have had your share of problems, your share of challenges while making it up and, running it through your NGO, RN Art Foundation. So you would like to share some of the challenges that you had on the way?
In fact, when I wrote the book, I wrote it in a way keeping in mind that, it should be as if I'm conversing with someone. जो बहुत अच्छी अंग्रेजी नहीं भी जानता है वो भी पढ़ के उसको समझ सके और जो जानते हैं वो भी उसे समझ सके. It's like a conversation between you and me. When you're reading it, you know what author is thinking, what I'm writing, like simple English for everyone to understand the way we talk. None of those very high flying words which are difficult for a lot of people to understand. So it was something, the way I converse with my team, the way I converse with my family, my parents, my loved ones, my children in the slums and bastis. It was that was always in back of my mind, that it should be very easy to understand and easy to read. And I don't think there is anyone in this world who would not have faced challenges or difficulties in the work they are doing, be it any profession. But जब आप एक social service का मार्ग चुनते हैं, जब आप सेवा का मार्ग चुनते हैं, तो उसमें problems तो आती हैं, because not everyone can understand the passion you have behind it, and not everyone can understand and be on the same wavelength as you are. And I never say anyone that why can't they connect to you. And I tell my team also, because my team comes back to me saying that, ma'am, some people came and abused them, some people try to push them and say bad things, and you always tell us, haath jod ke boliye, we understand you're having a bad day, let's sit down peacefully and understand what is going on. Because मेरा ये मानना है कि प्यार और रिस्पेक्ट, ये दो चीजें हैं हमारी लाइफ में जो कुछ भी सामने वाले इंसान से करवा सकती हैं. एंड मैंने ये अपने एक्सपीरियंस में देखा है that how when people have even come to kind of push us, or even I wouldn't want to use the word beat us up, but also in a way very very aggressive coming forward कि नहीं ये काम यहाँ नहीं होगा, आप लड़कियों को यहाँ से हटाइए, मैम हमारी लड़कियों को काम नहीं करना है. So that also we've handled with love and respect, with understanding their position, because slums में रहने का किसी को शौक नहीं है, और जब वो वहां पे रहते हैं, so there are a lot of issues, there are a lot of problems they're already facing. We come from outside and say कि आपको गुस्सा क्यों आ रहा है, आप aggressive क्यों है. No, please understand their mindset, that maybe they're having a bad day, उनकी परेशानियां हैं. So I always tell my team, I said बहुत patiently आपको लोगों से बात करनी है, और if they understand, okay, otherwise we will go to the next one and try to make them understand that we are not here to take anything, we are here to give, and we want you to be participating, because end of the day it is for you to benefit from that. So we had, in fact, one of our slums, we had, it's in my book also, one, he was like the chairman or secretary of that basti, and he said, nahi ma'am, ye kya ho raha hai, yahan pe kaam nahi hoga, because we saw your photo with some politicians hoarding. So I joked with him saying that if your photograph tomorrow is put on a banner with President of India or Prime Minister of India, doesn't mean you belong to that party, right? So he said, nahi ma'am. So he was just a troublemaker who was just having probably a bad day and trying to create issues. And that's where the group of ladies that I was talking to, they came forward and they literally told him that, with what audacity are you saying this to her when you live here and we vote for you to be elected from here to keep this area clean, which you have not done. Today she's come from outside and cleaning. Today she's looking at her children. If they have skin allergies, they have asthma, and she's saying, "Hum yahan pe medical camp kar rahe hain, bachchon ko leke aaiye." She's coming from outside and showing concern with her team. Full day to night she's here, and you are telling her she should not do it. So those group of women actually pushed him and his guys away. But I didn't like that, and I told him, "Listen, come and meet me tomorrow. Let's have tea tomorrow together, and let's sit and talk, and we'll see how we can make you happy, because ये आपका slum है, हमें आपके साथ जोड़ के काम करना, आपको हमारे साथ जुड़ना है, because का ही benefit होगा. He came the next day, sat with us, and then today he's part of our team. So, and he's someone, if we need to push somebody away, he goes there and he says, no, ये काम हमें करना है और हमें मैम के साथ जुड़ना है. So he's in fact got hundreds of people today into Misaal India teams, and I'm so proud of him. But अगर वो समय में हम गुस्सा करके तू मैं करके उसको भगा देते या हम छोड़ देते, सो शायद वो रिजल्ट हम नहीं अचीव कर पाते जो हमने किया. सो पेशेंस एंड कंसिस्टेंसी एंड हार्ड वर्क and respect for others is what everyone needs in this world. I think if at that time you don't react and with patience you can handle the situation, things can work as magic. And that's what happened in this case. And not just this, I can give you hundreds of cases like that, you know, where somebody has even walked up to me and said, we will not take orders from a lady. हम महिला से order नहीं लेंगे, हम आदमी हैं, हम boss हैं. So I'm like, okay, you have 2 daughters. If your daughter is to be told something like this, how would you react? नहीं ma'am, but आप तो महिला हो, हम नहीं आपके साथ काम करेंगे. And today he's part of our team also. His daughters are part of my team as well. So it's that change, that mindset, but patience in social work, especially when you're working in slums, which are densely populated. And, you know, one of the journalists from Bangalore said, ma'am, slums are dark, dingy and dangerous. How do you work there? So मेरा जवाब यही रहता है कि जो भी आप slums को definition देना चाहो, मैं तो ये कहूंगी कि वहाँ लोग रहते हैं और वहाँ पे जो लोग रहते हो मेरी family है. They are part of my family. और जहाँ मेरा परिवार है वो डार्क, डिंजी और डेंजरस नहीं हो सकता. So for me it's about bonding. It's about when you say that you're family, you mean it. So I guess that's what got us through so many hurdles. I mean, endless number of issues we had. But today we can proudly say that my team is well equipped and experienced now to handle a lot of ups and downs. And क्योंकि मैं खुद रोज slums में जाती हूँ whenever I'm not traveling. So I guess that also kind of creates a good bond between you and people when they see not just the team coming, but ma'am coming. I don't know why they put me on that pedestal, but they do. So when they see that she can be here in, you know, every season of the year, so she really means well for us. So that's why I guess God has been kind. We've been able to do so much work in such short span, actually.
Yes,
Ma'am, you have worked so extensively for the slum areas in India, and because of that, I believe you would know all the workings of it, the lifestyle of people living in the slums, and all the logistics that might surround it. And I have a question that I have always wanted to ask from somebody who has had first-hand experience in working in this area. So, ma'am, I wanted to know that, so there are a lot of government schemes, specifically job schemes that are brought in for people living and experiencing poverty. Of course, these are great initiatives for people who really do need them. But do you think that these have any room for growth, or do people end up in an endless loop of poverty from generations to generations with no room for development, rather just being stuck at one place?
So, you know what, this is exactly what on 19th, when we had the book launch, this is exactly what I asked Mahesh Jethmalani, because he was on my panel as well. So I said, let's talk about, because him being the lawyer and you know, now the Rajya Sabha member of parliament also. So I asked him, I said, Mahesh, what about these schemes which are launched in such big numbers? How do we implement and secure women? Let's talk about women law and their rights. So he did speak and he said, no, there is obviously him being the lawyer and he's not really gone to many areas down, but he did mention to me that he did go to a lot of slums with his father and saw things happening. But I will talk from my experience that there are very good schemes which have been launched recently. In fact, after COVID, during COVID, Prime Minister Modi ji also did fantastic work and launched few schemes. Before that, Swachh Bharat was launched. And I'm someone who has always said कि schemes launch होती हैं लेकिन नीचे लोगों तक नहीं पहुंच पाती हैं. So where is the fault that you're launching the scheme, you're spending so much money, but वो नीचे नहीं आ पा रही है. But Swachh Bharat was one such initiative which we saw. In fact, we've been doing Swachh Bharat from last 10 years. But जब Government of India ने Swachh Bharat किया, so it became like a worldwide campaign, not just India, even abroad, people were talking about Swachh Bharat. When I attended Global Goals event in New York during the UN week, even there everyone was talking about Swachh Bharat. So I actually saw toilets made on ground and given to people. In my slums itself, there were toilets built. Normally you have community toilets, or महिलाओं को, especially when they're pregnant or when they're old, young girls, it used to be a task for them to go, रात को अगर जाना हो तो थोड़ा safety issues के लिए दूर जाके आप toilet use करते हैं. But I saw hundreds and thousands of toilets being made in their homes. And when we did a cleanliness drive in Rajasthan, and in Lakshmangarh, and I was expecting some 50-100 people. We had over 1,200 people. Everyone put their shops half shutter down and joined us, and they said, ma'am, you know what, we want to do it. If you can clean garbage, why can't we? And there I said, you know, I know people will say कि एक बार, दो बार, तीन बार cleanliness drive करने से क्या होगा? क्या लोग सफाई कर पाएंगे, करेंगे, रखेंगे? And I said that the point is not कि आप कितनी बार ये drives करते हैं. The point is that in those drives, you might be able to inspire that one person or two or three or five, whatever number. I would say even one person, if you can inspire in those drives, that person will do more drives, change more people. So ऐसे करते करते ही ये chain बनेगी. You know, so, but we don't have to give up and say कि no, you know, इससे क्या होता है. बहुत सारी चीजें करके ही पता चलती हैं कि आप successful होंगे कि नहीं होंगे. And this is mantra of my life that I always believe when you want to do something, especially to serve people, something that connects to humans and serving them, you must do it. Because, you know, end of the day, whether it's a success or a failure, we don't know. But we will regret that why didn't we do it? Maybe it could have been a success. So वो maybe जो word है उससे मुझे बहुत actually problem होती है. So I tell my team also, I said, go for it, do it. And you know, success and failure की चिंता मत करो, give your best and rest let God decide. और जहाँ पे लोगों की मदद करने की बात है, जहाँ पे उन्हें एक अच्छा संदेश देने की जरूरत है, एक अच्छा मैसेज देने की जरूरत है, वहाँ पे why the question mark? Why do you have to think? So there are a lot of schemes which I personally saw were implemented at the bottom level, even skill development. उनकी भी बहुत सारी जगह पे मैंने महिलाओं से पूछा, उनको machines दी गई, उन्होंने center में जाके सीखा, आज भी सीख रही हैं. And through our centers also we could connect to a lot of these other local institutes where we, you know, got our girls going and learning. They came and trained our girls. But there is still a need for that percentage of implementation on ground to become more. You know, I would say पहले 20-25% होती होंगी, आज 50-60% होती होंगी, but we need to touch a number of 80-85% because India is a big country. हम चाहते हैं कि जो हम tax payers का पैसा है, जो सरकार अलग अलग स्कीम से लोगों तक पहुंचाती है, वो लोगों तक पहुंचना बहुत जरूरी है. And there is somewhere I have noticed, even in the government offices, even in the local bodies which are connected to government, that there is a sense of consciousness today that has come into people ki nahi, you know, we are not just going to get the scheme, put the money, whether we use it or we don't use it. No, let's implement it. तो ये जो एक बदलाव मैं लोगों में देख रही हूँ on ground, इसकी बहुत जरूरत थी हमारी country में. And now this, I hope, stays for next 5 to 10 years, and then you will see so many problems will be eradicated or we will overcome them. So hope for the best, and young generation like you, young volunteers like you and all the other students, I would say should come on ground and see it for themselves what is happening. And when things are not happening, put your voice across and say this is not happening. Government is answerable to us. We are the citizens of the country. So government is answerable to us for these schemes being launched or not. And end of the day, we all know you can't please everyone. There will be people who would say, implementation hui hai, some kuch bolenge nahi hui hai. So we have to not worry about that. हमें ये देखना है कि अगर हमारे सामने कुछ दिख रहा है हमें कि ऐसा हुआ है, so we must praise it. और अगर नहीं हुआ है, तो instead of criticizing, try to get that happen there and at least reach out to the officials to tell them that, sir, this is being launched, but it's not come to us. So that is also what we have done in a lot of areas, especially Rajasthan, that schemes were launched and they had not reached. So we wrote to them, we went to them, team went and met, and they were implemented in those areas. So I guess somewhere down the line, instead of saying ki kya nahi ho raha hai, kyun nahi ho raha hai, let's say hum usko kaise kar sakte hain. Like I said, let's find a solution, because every problem has a solution. Instead of feeling bad about a problem and criticizing, I don't believe in criticizing, I believe in work. ये नहीं देख के कि दूसरे क्या कर रहे हैं, हम पहले ये देखें हम क्या कंट्रीब्यूट कर रहे हैं. अगर हम सब चीज सरकार पे छोड़ देंगे, तो then we are also responsible for our country, we are also responsible for ourselves. And if you have chosen to be a social worker or an activist, आपको आवाज उठानी पड़ेगी और आपको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा लोगों तक पहुंच के उनकी मदद करनी पड़ेगी. So somewhere I see a lot of positivity, a lot of positive things happening on ground, and I just pray and hope that the number increases.
Very, very well said, ma'am. Specifically, when we talk about breaking the cycle, Misaal India is doing such a great job at it, specifically how it has found a way to appeal to people which is out of ordinary. It is really great work, ma'am.
Thank you.
You must see daily struggles of people living in slums, their emotional burdens, their stresses. Has all of this, working so closely to it, ever become emotionally stressing for you?
Yes, it's very draining. It's emotionally drains you out completely. I have a child who's 10-year-old, and when he tells me that, Mama, I miss you because I miss you. You're not there so many days when I'm alone here. You miss my office, my school functions at times. And it obviously, as a mother, it bothers you. But when I say that I'm biologically mother of one and emotionally mother of millions today, I mean it. And, somebody in had come to visit me in the Basti. Koi na koi aata rehta hai, because I go there very regularly. So एक कपल मेरे पास आया था, and he said कि मैम अपने बच्चों के लिए तो सभी करते हैं, अपने बच्चों को तो सभी प्यार करते हैं और वक्त देते हैं, लेकिन आप दूसरों के लिए अपने बच्चे को छोड़ के काम करती हैं. So that is something that we respect you for. So I guess when people get inspired with whatever you're doing, I know as a mother I will miss out on a lot of time with my own child, and he will miss out too. But then these kids in the slums, in villages, are my kids too. In fact, one of our girl was unwell in one of our bastis, and I went and attended the class, and I asked, because she's a very bright child, and I always noticed whether she attends the class or not. So I said, where is she? So my team said, ma'am, she has fever, and this is during COVID. She has fever and she's not come for class. I said, call the mother and just check whether she's got her test done or not. And while I'm talking to my teacher, I can see her walking with low face because she had fever, walking, and she comes in straight, gives me a hug. And then of course I hug back and I touch her forehead, I give her a kiss, and I check. I said, your fever is down, or you are still very hot, that means your fever is there. And my team, two of my other team people come running saying, ma'am wait, she's not been tested yet. So I was like, never ever come and tell me this, because if Vivan, my son, had fever during COVID and walked up to me to hug me, will I say, beta, dur raho, pehle test karwa ke aana, positive ho ki negative ho? That's not the reaction a mother can ever give. So I said, please, never say that. So I hugged her, put her back, I called her mother, I said, get the test. Luckily, she was also negative and she didn't have fever. But that's not the reaction, right? You give when you are working with children. So I guess it becomes one big family, and there are a lot of things you want to do. Sometimes time is short. Sometimes you have other problem, accessibility, reaching out to people. But I guess you find your way to do things. There is always, you can, find your way to do things, because everyone will have difficulties, everyone will have problems, but hum solution dhoonde, so it's much better. So of course it's draining. In fact, when I worked with cancer patient children in Wadia Hospital for a couple of months, there was a child, Abdul. His head was so big and very small, and mother was crying, obviously. And I told her, I said, don't worry, he'll be fine. And after 3 years, he was fine. He attended one of my, because I celebrate my birthday there with them. So he attended that, and mother came to me saying, ma'am, Abdul has recovered. I couldn't recognize the child, and I was like, oh my God, it was like, it was like I've got a Nobel Peace Prize at that time. It was that feeling, looking at the child, such a beautiful child, recovered so well, and enjoying birthday cake with me and dancing on my birthday with me. So it was great. But to see him at that stage, even my Kashmir kids, when you hear their stories of their parents, their mothers, their sisters being killed by terrorists or ill-treated by terrorists, it's very draining. You come back home with a lot of baggage. You come back with a very heavy mind. Some things can't go out of my mind, especially because I'm so emotionally connected to my work. It doesn't go, but then it also somewhere down the line makes you stronger. The life में सब अच्छा ही आपको दिखेगा, और आप दूसरों का दुख नहीं देखेंगे और नहीं समझेंगे, तो आपको कभी समझ भी नहीं आएगी. So I guess God has his way of taking you through a journey. It's all a journey that we all have to live in our life. So he takes you through experiences for you to grow. Now it is in our hands whether we grow with them or we take them negatively. So I like to take everything in a very positive way around me. कुछ गलत भी दिखता है, तो I like to take the, see उसमें क्या अच्छा था. Let's catch that rather than seeing the negative part. So positivity over negativity is something that I have always chosen. And I think that's worked well so far. And hopefully, with everyone's blessings, आगे भी अच्छा करेंगे.
You have done so much for this country. In fact, I believe all of our viewers today would like to know what we can do as citizens, even small things that can bring a change.
Well, as citizens, all I can say is let's all of us be responsible. Let's talk about the development of the country. Let's talk about the progress of our nation and focus on nothing else but this. Right now, we all must come together, stay united as Indians. Like I always say, हम पहले भारतीय हैं, हिंदुस्तानी हैं, Indians हैं, उसके बाद हिंदू, मुस्लिम, सिख, ईसाई. So religion को side पे रखें और अपने देश की progress के लिए काम करें. That is very important, because India के जब हम सब Indians एक साथ मिल के आगे बढ़ना चाहेंगे, आगे जाएंगे, तो हमारे देश को हम कहाँ से कहाँ तक ले जा सकते हैं. So I think that's what I would like to say, the youth, the people of our country, that let's stay united and let's do our bit without criticizing anyone else what they are doing. Let's do our bit for our country, and let's make everyone's dream come true, because end of the day, we all dream to see our country flourishing, because देश बढ़ेगा तो हम देश के जो नागरिक हैं हम बढ़ेंगे. और also I would like to say that हमारे देश की हर बेटी, हर महिला शिक्षित हो, पढ़ाई कर सके, अपना स्कूल कंप्लीट कर सके, कॉलेज कंप्लीट कर सकते. In fact, this is my dream. I say it always that I want to see India 100% literate. हर बच्चा, हर युवा, हर महिला, हर बेटी हमारे देश की पढ़ी लिखी हो, स्कूल तक पहुंच सके, कोई भी ऐसी अड़चन, कठिनाई उसकी लाइफ में ना हो कि उसको स्कूल बीच में छोड़ना पड़े और अपनी पढ़ाई बीच में छोड़नी पड़े. So let's help, even looking around us, that how we can contribute to this, because education is the only thing that stays with you permanently and can take you forward through any hurdle, any difficulty of life.
So very well said, and it's been such an inspirational session. And the book, I've been privileged to read the book and know about you so much. And I really recommend definitely to everyone to read it, to know you better. I know today we've got just a hint of what you're doing. More about you is there in the book. More about Misaal India is there. So one of my last questions is that what are your future plans? And I know you're doing a lot in skill development side. You're really upskilling the women of the slums and the villages that you touch upon. So maybe you could talk about your studio, Saksham, a little bit, and also tell us something that we missed from the book, talking about Yeah, and your maybe its future plans.
Yes, in fact, मेरा बहुत focus रहता है महिलाओं पे. Being a महिला myself, I've always from my childhood seeing हमारे जो आर्मी के जवानों की जो वाइफ होती है, हम उनको दीदी बोलते थे. और my father being in the army, my mother used to go and meet them every day in welfare centers, and they used to do कढ़ाई बुनाई कुछ ना कुछ सिखाते रहते थे because उनके husband borders पे रहते हैं. And I guess this whole connect about social work and being with people and interacting with them came from that in my life, because my mother would leave and I would still sit with didis and talk about everything else. And they were like we can speak our heart out to you, even if it is something that you don't understand, and some things you understand, but we can at least connect to you. So I guess that is very important. And जैसे मैंने कहा कि शिक्षा बहुत जरूरी है हमारे देश में, हमारे हर बच्चे के लिए, हमारे देश की हर बच्ची के लिए और महिलाओं के लिए अपने पैरों पे खड़ा होना भी बहुत जरूरी है. एंड आत्मनिर्भरता खाली बातें करने से तो नहीं आती है. आत्मनिर्भरता हमारी महिलाओं को तभी मिलेगी जब वो अपने पैरों पे खड़ी होंगी, when they are financially independent. एंड हमारा एक इनिशिएटिव है महिला सक्षम योजना ऑफ RNAF, जो हमने कुछ साल पहले लॉन्च किया था. Through that, we actually reached out to Studio Saksham. And Studio Saksham is an initiative which is online shopping portal for everyone across the world. And इसमें हर एक product जो online है आपको खरीदने के लिए, वो हमारी लड़कियों ने बनाया है, वो हमारी महिलाओं ने बनाया है जो slums और गांव में रहती हैं. And it is their creativity mixed with Studio Saksham team creativity that we want to put their talent and their best craft forward. In fact, on 2nd October, we launched our Khadi cushion collection, if you've seen it. And उसमें लड़कियों ने बोला है कि ये फूल यहाँ लगाएं, या how we put the border. I give them full freedom to do it, and then of course we guide them through. So Studio Saksham launch करने का हमारा यही aim था कि हमें दूसरों के पास जाना ना पड़े ये बोलने के लिए कि हमारे लड़कियों को काम दीजिए. This is a portal which would give employment and financial help to lakhs of women today who are working in our center. And in fact, day by day we are increasing. Today we had somebody from Bihar who was very keen and send me some product pictures. Ma'am, हमारी ये महिलाएं यहाँ बनाती हैं, अगर आप यहाँ center खोलें तो we can also have this on Studio Saksham. So we are only a month and a half old with Studio Saksham, but we hope to grow it to very huge heights is what I can say. But ये एक प्लेटफॉर्म है जो हमारी महिलाओं को बहुत हेल्प करेगा, और खाली सीखने के लिए नहीं, along with learning they will also earn. My Kashmir girls today are doing extremely well. One of the girls, Nikat, was on my book launch. She spoke about what she's doing. In fact, before I started the live, I had a message from her. She sent beautiful embroidery salwar kameezes that she's done in the villages. She goes getting the whole group together, and हमने शुरू किया था 400 लड़कियों से. Today she's reached to 8 other villages, and she's sending us all the details. So I guess somewhere down the line, financial independence जो है हमारी लड़कियों के लिए वो बहुत जरूरी है, और वो तभी आएगी जब वो सीखने के साथ साथ कमाएंगी भी. And Studio Saksham is the platform which caters to that.
Wonderful. And I saw the products online, beautiful products. And that's so important. I mean, the designing part and the skilling part, I think that will really take them on a global platform, I'm sure. And
in fact, my girl वो गांव से है, आज आपने हमें डिजाइनर बना दिया. We would be going to our villages and even visiting, but today we are designing, and stuff is going to all the homes of celebrities and big people. For them, they say, ma'am, it's a dream come true for us, and it makes me feel proud of them and makes me so happy that God has chosen you to serve and given you that opportunity that you can bring smile on somebody's face. And it also gives a lot of self-respect to women, when they contribute financially to their home. भले उनके husband हो, उनकी mother-in-law हो, mother हो, parents हो, जो भी हैं, एक महिला अपना सर ऊंचा करके गर्व से कह सकती है कि ये मेरी कमाई है, ये मेरी मेहनत की कमाई है, मैं कमा के घर पे लाई हूँ. So I guess that gives a lot of credibility to them as well in the household.
So very right. Absolutely. And I must say that your book, The Slum Queen, is definitely just an eye-opener about what you do. Just a little bit of hint, I think, that you've given to the world. And I'm sure there's so much to come. there is so many wishes and blessings of everyone in the slums and villages for you. You're such a famous painter yourself, and such a famous artist and a sculptor. And apart from that, apart from your busy life, you've totally devoted yourself to the slums of India, making them so beautiful, not only beautiful, but worth living, and also skilling them. Hats off to you, Rouble.
Thank-
And thank you so
thank-
much for being on our platform. It was such a nice conversation. And we hope to have you once again, once you write a sequel to the book, and let us know even more about you and the work that you do. Any last
Sure.
words from you before we close the session?
Both of you, and I hope to see you next time when I'm in Delhi. We would love to have you in one of our slums. And actually, you've read the book, and let's make you experience this like into the slum. Yes.
Yes. Such beautiful book. So thank you so much for being with us
Thank
today.
you.
And the recording of the session will be available very soon. So whosoever has missed it today will be able to see it, and will be able to share your thoughts on the maybe their comment sessions that will be open, obviously, on the YouTube. Thank you everyone for joining in. Thank you, Rouble. Thank you, Rouble Negi Art Foundation, and everyone who's joined in from that. Thank you.